Earlier this week, a federal judge stipulated that former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife would face trial in June 2027 on drug trafficking charges. When U.S. forces struck Caracas and seized Maduro in January of this year, many had hoped that the opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, would lead the country through a democratic transition. Instead, Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, was installed as interim president and has been in power ever since. Maria Corina Machado is a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and she has been in exile since December 2025. She joins me now. Maria Corina, welcome. And first, let me ask you, what are you hearing about the situation on the ground in Venezuela with regard to the earthquake? How bad is it? Has it settled down?
On the contrary, Farid, every day that goes by, the situation is more and more critic. This has been certainly the largest tragedy in Venezuelan recent history. We're talking about thousands of dead. Still, we don't have the right number, the clear number. The NGOs and civil society estimate over 40,000 people still missing. Hundreds of buildings have collapse. Infrastructure damage is estimated by the UN in over $20 billion. So this has been a huge tragedy, but that has also shown crucial realities. On one side, the solidarity, resilience, courage, and capacity to organize of the Venezuelan people. But on the other hand, we've seen the absolute absence of the state. With no zero capacities, they did not react, and what they did it was to obstruct the efforts that were being done by citizens, private citizens, and international foreign rescue missions. So this has, we're still seeing people, hundreds of people, that it's already a month, digging with their own hands, with no equipment whatsoever, looking for their loved ones. So this has brought first fear, then indignation, and now I would say it's rage that it's growing in the Venezuelan population, and the sense of urgency that grows every day.
So you wanted to go back to Venezuela and visit your country, partly because of the earthquake, partly because you feel it's important to start a process of democratic transition. The Trump administration, from all reports, essentially barred you from going. Why?
Well, I've been in contact with President Trump, Secretary Rubio, and many US officials during these last months, and exchanging views in terms of how to move ahead into the three-phase plan that the US government has put in place in Venezuela. And the third phase, it's very important to remember, is a transition process that requires a legitimate election. We are seeing now the same regime that was in place when all these criminal activities were denounced, and the lack of trust towards the regime and the institutions that are in ruins in Venezuela is huge. So the only way we can move ahead into bringing relief and hope to the Venezuelan people, and also getting all the investment Venezuela requires now for the after the emergency, which is estimated in over $50 billion, but also to take advantage of the huge resources Venezuela has. That requires trust. That requires institutions. That requires legitimacy. The huge transformations that ought to be put in place in Venezuela have to have the support of the Venezuelan people. And the regime, the Delcy Rodriguez regime, is in its lowest point of support ever. And it was, as I say, exacerbated after the earthquake. So yes, my desire from day one is to go back to Venezuela. And when the tragedy took place, I realized it was my duty to be with our people, being together, mourning together, praying together. And that's the reason why I'm going to go back soon to my country.
You will go back soon?
I will.
In the next month?
Well, we are planning the logistics that are required for, not only for reaching Venezuela, but for being in Venezuela, for operating, for organizing the democratic forces, for channeling all these anxiety and urgency that I mentioned before in a but in a peaceful and democratic channel. That's precisely my goal, and why I believe I need to be back.
But President Trump has, spoken of you often in kind of dismissive ways and suggesting that it's not right, it's not time for you to go, it's not right for you to even go, the situation is great. Do you regret having given him your Nobel Peace Prize?
No, I don't. And I think that we wouldn't be here with this huge opportunity of having Venezuela, turning into a democratic nation if it wasn't for the decision President Trump took on January 3rd. The Secretary of State has been very clear in terms of what it's needed in terms to bring Venezuela and turn Venezuela into the great ally of the United States. Not only from a security perspective, we need to dismantle these groups, get rid of Russian, Iranian, Cuban, the guerrilla that is has taken over Venezuelan territory, but turn Venezuela into the largest energy partner, a long-term alliance. And look, I've been in contact with American enterprises, companies, and investors in the financial sector, the tech sector. They are all so excited about the potential of Venezuela, but they all realize that in order to do that, you need to have legitimacy. And Secretary Rubio has said these decisions that the Venezuelan people have to make in terms of who we want to be our leadership. And we've proven that we are a society that is organized as never before. It's united around principles, values, and vision, and is determined to be free.
Thank you so much, and I wish you a safe travel to your country, and maybe next year in Caracas.
Next time, I will host you in a beautiful country. It's going to be free, prosperous, and safe. Thank you very much for it.
A pleasure. Next on GPS, the war in Iran has taken a devastating toll on that nation's economy. So why isn't Tehran more motivated to make peace? I'll explore next.